So once we get into finding the area and perimeter, first we're going to just start with perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around a figure. It's the distance of all of its sides combined, no matter what the figure is. You'll see these little ghost lines, and they are ghost, meaning they're not there, they're drawn in, and we'll explain why. They don't count as the perimeter. The perimeter would be the outside. So you would not count this 16 in the perimeter of this figure, okay? Oh, same over here. This is a ghost 4. You need it for the area, but you don't need it for the perimeter. The perimeter are these two sides, which are both 4.5, and these two sides, which are both 2. With triangles, same thing. Perimeter is the outside, so this 1.8 that's ghosted inside doesn't count. It's the 5, the 4, and the 8.2, okay? So when you're finding perimeter, you do have to show me how you're getting it. So for a rectangle, because opposite sides are equal, this is 16 and that's 8. You could just add them all up. So you could say, okay, here's how I found it. Here's how I found the perimeter. I did 8 plus 16 plus 8 plus 16. You could type all that in on your calculator and then say the perimeter equals, and it's 48. Now these are in meters, and the perimeter is measured in meters. It's just like if I unfolded all the lines and I put them straight, how many meters would it be? And all of these combined would equal 48 meters. Now you don't have to do it that way. You could also do, some people like to add these two and then double it to count for the other two. So you could say, all right, well I did 2 groups of, and then put in parentheses, 16 plus 8. And the reason I put it in parentheses is because order of operations says, hey, add these together first and then double it. So 16 plus 8 is 24. And if I double that, I get the perimeter is 48. So I still get the same thing. It's 48 meters if I did it this way. And still another way you could do it is you could say, hey, I'm going to take 2 16s and I'm going to add that to 2 8s. I'm going to say 2 16s is 32. This way is kind of annoying. I don't like this way. And then 2 8s is 16. And then when I add those together, I get that the perimeter is 48. So all 3 of these are fine. Some people prefer this because you're always just adding all the sides. Some people prefer this, but this only works for things like rectangles and parallelograms. So here, I'm going to skip this one. You can do that on your own. For the perimeter of a square, hopefully you realize that squares all have the same length. So these are all 7s. So I could go 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7, grab my calculator, type in that, and then that all equals 28. But some of you probably realized, oh, well, it's just 4 of the same side, so it's 4 7s, which is 28. And yeah, you have to show me, how did you think of it? Did you think of it as adding 7, or did you think of it as 4 times 7, and then write your answer? This one's in inches, so I'm going to write inches on my answer, however I did it. And you don't have to do both, you just have to pick one. For parallelograms, people get confused because of the ghost lines. The ghost lines are not part of the perimeter. The perimeter is the outside. So for this one over here, like I said, this is a 4.5. That means this diagonal one, I'll write it like this, 4.5. That's 4.52, and then you have these two. So I have perimeter equals, I could do 4.5 plus 4.5 plus 2 plus 2. I'm going to do it a little different. I'm going to say it's going to be 2 times 2 plus 4.5. Because 4.5 times, or plus 2 is half of the perimeter, and then I'll double it to get the other half. So that's 6.5, and 2 groups of 6.5 is 13. So the perimeter is 13, and it's in inches. Notice I did not include the 4 because it's not part of the actual figure itself. This is the figure, its perimeter is its outside. For triangles, it's just the outside. I mean, there's no shortcut. You can't double anything unless there's something that is doubled, but it's just the outside. So for this, it's 5, 4, and 8.2 that I'm adding together. So I know 5 and 4 is 9, that's 17.2 altogether, and this one's in feet. There's no shortcut for a triangle, you just have to kind of add it all together. And then trapezoids, be careful. So if you Watch my last video on trapezoids. See, this is a trapezoid down here. It's got one side of parallel sides. But watch out for the ghosts. They don't count. Not for perimeter. Perimeter is the outside. So I say please set up a perimeter, meaning they surround it. So my perimeter here is 5 plus 6, that's these two, plus 4.5, that's here, plus 9.5. If I add that all together, that's 10.5 plus another 0.5 is 11, 20, 25. And you can use a calculator for that. That's 25 meters for this one. Okay? So that's finding perimeter, and I skipped a couple. You can find those yourselves.